Coming up in the news, the managing director of the Public Hospitals Authority says big things are ahead for Grand Bahama nurses. And free Wi-Fi now available on 3 parks on Grand Bahama. Plus, Dorian survivors recall their horrific experience during the deadly storm. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. I'm Ramiko Knowles. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping the news, great things are expected for the nurses at the Rand Memorial Hospital on Grand Bahama. According to Managing Director at the Public Hospitals Authority, Aubanet Roll, following the recent signing of an industrial agreement between the government and the Bahamas Nurses Union, nurses are finally being rewarded for their hard work in the healthcare system. Simone Davis has that story.
After 3 months of negotiations, the third industrial agreement signed by the Davis-Cooper administration since taking office is an agreement for the Bahamas Nurses Union. The 3-year agreement includes benefits for nurses nationwide. And Managing Director at the Public Hospitals Authority, Aubanet Roll, says it's been a long time coming, but Bahamian nurses have earned it.
What we did was we improved negotiations as it relates to their salaries, and so they will be getting increases in terms of adding increments to their salary, so it's aligned to their base salary. Also, they have shift differentials, so if you work night duty, if you are the nurse in charge of the hospital, all of those payments that nurses have not been privileged to have before.
Roll says the government and the PHA have been aware of the strenuous conditions that nurses were working under, especially on Grand Bahama at the Rand Memorial Hospital following Hurricane Dorian and during the COVID-19 pandemic. She notes that the industrial agreement was essentially designed to make nurses as comfortable as possible and discourage them from seeking employment in other countries like the United States and Canada, which became a trend after Dorian.
This industrial agreement was to ensure that they are incentivized and they really feel the worth and the value that they bring to the Bahamian people. And as a result of that, the minister was very adamant that he wanted equity to remain in the room always, and to ensure that nurses across the Commonwealth of Bahamas that work in public sector have an opportunity to have benefits that can align them with other colleagues, not necessarily those in the U.S., the U.K., and Canada where our nurses are leaving, but also put them in a position to be able to get things that, are deserving to them.
Roll adds that the binding agreement is just the beginning of the process to compensate all nurses in the country.
I think it is showing the nurses that, one, we are hearing what they're saying, and we are making that commitment to make things better for them. Like I said previously, we can't compare with bigger countries, but however, the government has been listening. We're moving forward with ensuring that their salaries are reviewed and increased, and that's something that we've been moving forward across the board in healthcare, but also inclusive of nurses, as well as, all the other things that they did not get before. So I think the nurses can really appreciate that we're moving forward.
Roll assures that the negotiations for the new state-of-the-art hospital on Grand Bahama are progressing, and nurses should be even more encouraged that they will have improved working conditions once the new hospital is complete. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Simone Davis.
Well, it's day 2 of classes in the public school system on Grand Bahama. Today, our Raven Davis traveled to the Western District. She says primary schools in that district are thankful for the return to full face-to-face learning after setbacks due to COVID-19.
Some principals in the Western District are touting face-to-face instruction as the optimal learning environment for children. And on day 2 of the academic year, they note that innovative strategies were devised to encourage greater academic success.
I am pleased to say that 97% of my 6th graders who took the writing exam passed the exam. 89% of the students who took the listening comprehension, they passed. 86 who took the reading comprehension, they passed. So our teachers are doing a phenomenal job. We do, however, have a deficit in the areas of math.
For the upcoming school year, our teachers and we were already strategizing on how to improve, let's say, the reading comprehension, writing skills of the school in order to improve even more our district grades as well as our GLAT grades. And so the teachers are excited about the year.
Now, in the third pandemic school year, new health guidelines are scheduled to roll out on September 5th. But in the interim, the schools are still adhering to the Ministry of Education's 2020 safety guidelines.
So that still incorporates us taking temperature checks, mask wearing, social distancing as much as possible. So we are adhering to those protocols for now. Parents are still not allowed to come into the classrooms.
And as for parents being discouraged from interacting on school campuses, they say there were no objections.
We were proactive in this approach. On Friday of last week, we had an open house from 10 until. So the parents were able to come in, meet their children's teachers, bring all their books, their documents, everything, just to get them acclimatized to what the procedures and the process is.
We sort of expected something, but the parents were very cooperative. I think that is based on, the rules stemming from last year when we did come face to face, so they got some time to get used to that. And so no one between yesterday and today really objected to doing that.
The Minister of Education, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, recently noting that a number of initiatives are underway to make up for learning deficits caused by the pandemic. To this, Farrington says she's grateful.
Thankfully, the minister is seeing our side of things and is very enthusiastic, and therefore the teachers are enthusiastic. We did lose a lot. They are doing everything, even afternoon classes or extra time, to make up for that loss. And so being face-to-face, we see a big advantage, not a disadvantage. Being virtual is a disadvantage, especially for lower primary.
For the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition, I'm Raven Davis.
It is the latest park in the country to offer free Wi-Fi services. The initiative was launched this past weekend, and 3 additional parks are currently being prepared for the free service. Jolanda Thompson reports.
Free Wi-Fi is officially at the C.A. Smith Park. This is just one of the many locations that will host free internet-based service. The initiative is a part of the Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxey's Blueprint for Change, geared towards rebuilding and revolutionizing Grand Bahama. It is a partnership with Alive and the Grand Bahama Power Company, and Minister Moxey was elated to announce the big news.
One of the things that we all noticed with Hurricane Dorian and the pandemic, there were so many children who needed to be able to do work at home, do their homework, their classwork, and many were not able to log on because they didn't have access to Wi-Fi. And so I believe that this is such a special occasion in our country.
Minister Moxey says that as the weeks go by, other parks will be connected as well.
I believe that next week we'll have Mon McPhee Park, and then there's Sunset Park, there's parks in East Grand Bahama, there's parks in Jonestown, 8 Mile Rock, and others will come along. But again, we said that we were going to recover, rebuild, and revolutionize our island. Bahamas Revolution is one of the first items in our Blueprint for Change.
Marketing coordinators for Alive say that the cable group of companies strive to lead the way in enabling connected lifestyles and experiences.
We understand that there is a divide between those that have internet and those that don't. And so this is our way of just assisting and helping to bridge that divide.
Hurricane season is upon us. We need to make sure every household is connected. So we believe in the community 100%.
Minister Moxey thanks the Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, for his consistency and productivity in an effort of making Grand Bahama grand again. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Jolanda Thompson.
Well, another compelling story coming out of Abaco today as the 3rd anniversary of Hurricane Dorian approaches. A disabled man telling his story of how he had to save himself and his disabled son. The Abaco man telling our Aja Kwant that it is an experience that he will never forget. Aja Kwant joins us live now from Abaco with the details. Aja?
Ramiko, as you know, 3 years ago, many were forced to evacuate their homes due to Hurricane Dorian as the Category 5 storm made its landfall here in Abaco. This including Brent Lowe, a blind man who also had to save his disabled son while trenching through high waters to seek shelter.
That was scary. I wish I'd never ever have to go through something like that again in my life.
That was the exact sentiments of Brent Lowe, a blind father, as Hurricane Dorian ravaged through the island of Abaco. Lowe says the Category 5 storm seemed as though it would never end. Just hours before making landfall, Lowe says himself, his 27-year-old son, who was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and their caretaker were all at home. They thought everything was normal until the storm actually began.
When it started, you just could tell by the intensity it wasn't a regular storm. It was, the whole house just was vibrating. And I was in a stone building, but the floor was shuddering, the walls was just shuddering, and I could keep hearing the roof lift and drop back down.
Lowe says he realized how bad it was when the first half left and the eye came in.
It seemed like it came back with even more force than it was before. That's when I realized we should have done something when the eye passed, like leaving or. But the thing about it, they tried to leave, but the roads and everything was so flooded you couldn't get past.
As the storm continued getting worse, the blind man expresses they left in search for shelter. Fearful for his son, Lowe says he carried him on his shoulders and made his way to the neighbor's home.
When I got home, I was surprised to know how many new businesses and how many people were here. You know, I wasn't expecting it to be as built up as it was. And I mean, as of now, we're pretty much almost back to normal.
Once the storm passed and they were rescued, Lowe had to immediately leave Abaco due to him having to undergo dialysis. And 1 year later, he returned in shock of how quickly the island had developed.
I feel happy for people getting back into their homes, getting back into their normal lives. The businesses open up, new business. You know, it's just good. Makes me happy.
And for Brent Lowe, he has since moved into a new efficiency nearby family with hopes of obtaining a disability home for him and his son. However, he adds that he is just happy to be back home.
You know, I'm home. No place like home.
Now the good news is that Brent Lowe has since returned home and is now living nearby family. However, he has one request, and that is a disabled home so that he and his son can live together again. Reporting live here at the Abaco Beach Resort in Marsh Harbor for the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Aja Quant. Back to you, Ramiko.
Thanks so much, Aja, for that great story. Meantime, McLeanstown was one of the settlements in East Grand Bahama that was hardest hit by Hurricane Dorian. Since then, residents in that community have been attempting to rebuild their lives. Jay Philippe introduces us to one business owner in the process of doing just that.
EJ's Bayside Restaurant is located in McLeanstown, East End.
When we started out, we just had like a small establishment, you know, just with the little restaurant. It normally was like a takeout, and then it had a deck. If you want to, you could just sit. And then we decided to put on an inside dining.
For many years, the popular food establishment provided income for Evelyn Thomas, better known as Eva, and her family.
Before Hurricane Dorian, business was booming. Business was good.
But on September 2nd, 2019, Hurricane Dorian destroyed the restaurant and everything else she owned.
You know, and then after Hurricane Dorian, it's like everything was a setback because it wasn't no business, it wasn't no McLeanstown. McLeanstown, it looked like a dump site.
As far as the restaurant is concerned, Thomas says she had to start all over from scratch.
Since Dorian, because of COVID and everything, business was a little slow. You know, it wasn't no tourists coming in and stuff like that. So it only me one was there.
Her focus now rebuilding.
It takes a lot of courage to pick up what Dorian leave and try to get everything rolling again. It takes a lot of courage because like when I come back home and when I see the restaurant, you lose everything in the restaurant. Then the home was the same thing. You lose everything in the home. It was like something you worked for all of your years, and now you leave with nothing.
With no insurance, she was determined to overcome the odds.
We leave the house and we start to, do what we could do over here, try to clean it up and try to, because we did have to cut out the whole inside was cut out. We did have to repair everything. We lose all the stove and the fridge. We lose everything. We didn't have insurance.
But for Eva Thomas, she was motivated to press on.
One of our friends, they come from the States, and they assist us good. They help us good.
Year 3 is approaching since the Category 5 monster storm changed the lives of so many residents on Grand Bahama and Abaco. What you see now is what Eva Thomas describes as resilience and courage. EJ's Bayside restaurant is up and running again, better than before, with more space and a better outlook. The businesswoman says, through the strength of God, EJ's Bayside restaurant will continue its tradition as one of the best restaurants in McLean's town. Reporting for the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition, I'm Jay Philippe.
Thanks, Jay. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Stay with us. There's more news when we come back.
Come on down.
H&L is here for your back-to-school needs. We have backpacks that roll and backpacks that ride. We have composition books, pencils, pens, lunch bags, rulers, and everything else that you need to start your school year. We also have masks for the school of your choice. H&L is fully stocked and located in downtown Freeport, ready to serve you. Call us at 352-5470.
Hurricane season is here, and the Lucaya Service Company Limited would like to remind you to stay safe and be prepared. In preparation for a storm, we encourage you to 1. Assess your property and all valuable items. 2. Seal your doors and windows and repair any loose siding. 3. Secure propane tanks and small yard items. 4. Check for loose fencing and posts to prevent missiles. 5. Trim trees in advance and regularly to protect your home. Post-hurricane tips. 1. Make note and take advantage of our bulk trash pickup schedule and times. This free one-time post-hurricane service is provided to all Lesco customers and subdivisions in Lucaya. 2. To ensure that your debris is picked up after a storm, please separate all bulk trash in 3 piles: vegetative debris, household appliances, and household furniture. 3. If utility lines are damaged or visible, please contact the appropriate authorities to ensure that lines are de-energized. A team member from the appropriate authority must verify and remove any terminated lines. For more information on bulk trash schedules and hurricane tips, please visit our website and Facebook page. Lucaya, your home, our service. Stay safe and be prepared.
It's back to school again, folks. You don't only want to beat the rush, you want the most affordable prices. Shop at Invading Force Bookstore and Supplies and save. No VAT. Currently located in Pioneers Loop, number 3 Ashenange Building.
No VAT.
Fully stocked with all your text and workbooks, including school supplies.
No VAT.
Serving all schools on the island, both government and private, from kindergarten to high school. And guess what? They're VAT-free. Bring that book list, they'll make it happen. Phone them today at 374-2401. They don't just match prices, they beat it.
To all of our students, remember, education plays a significant role in planning your future. Education provides you with the opportunity to learn and to grow as an individual. It is also vital to our national development. As you embark on this new school year, I want to encourage you to strive for excellence in your grades, deportment, and overall school involvement. Strive for excellence by setting goals. Excellence and effective goal setting setting are essential ingredients in the recipe for success. So, take a moment and write down your goals for the school year. When you write your goals down, you're able to read them, absorb them, and then you can plan. Your future is bright, and I believe wholeheartedly that you will excel as long as you remain disciplined. May God's blessings, favor, and protection be with you throughout this school year. I'm Obi Wilshcombe, just wishing you the best.
The government of the Bahamas and the artists of Grand Bahama presents the National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Concert Series. Friday, September 2nd at the New Life Worship Center at 7:30 p.m. Performing will be the Rubber Sister, the legendary Cool and Water, Gather Time Suited, the Bahamas Leading Choir, IMC, Hurricane, and Olsen Trudette. If you miss this life-changing historical event, admission is free. Friday, September 2nd at the New Life Worship Center at 7:30 p.m.
Bad lady, you should be driving me crazy. When she looking at lips and moving them hips like coming, baby. I wanna take her down now.
The King of the North is back. Pinewood 104.5 FM.
Your #1 news team covering the North. The Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Welcome back. Your Tuesday evening sports check is up next with Jay Philippe.
Good evening, I'm Jay Philippe, and welcome to another exciting edition of sports right here in the North. We have quite a few updates for you. Let's jump right in. The Bahamas senior men's national basketball team fell to Argentina 95-77 at the FIBA Americas World Cup qualifiers. With the loss last night, Team Bahamas is now on the verge of being eliminated from the qualifiers. The Bahamas dropped both games in their second window of the qualifiers and now needs to win 3 of its next 4 games to qualify for the World Cup, which is set for next year, August. The Bahamas was led once again by Charlotte Hornets second-year player Kai Jones with 16 points and 6 rebounds. College standout Garvin Clark added 12, while Michael Thompson chipped in with 11. Buddy Hield scored 10 points for the 2-4-2 in the loss. Sticking with hoops action, Jonquel Jones will be back on the court tomorrow with her WNBA squad, the Connecticut Sun, as they take on the Chicago Sky in the WNBA semifinals. The Sun took Game 1 on the road in the best-of-5 series to go up 1-0 in that series. Game time is 8 p.m. Switching gears now, Skylar Smith and Raphael McBroom are back after competing in the 2022 Goodwill Swim Meet over in Trinidad and Tobago. Smith came back home with the 9-10 Girls High Point Trophy and 6 medals in total.
I felt awesome. Definitely felt proud and honored to represent the Bahamas in an international swimming competition. I thank God that we had a safe travel and everything so that I could compete for the Bahamas and do everything well.
Although McBroom did not medal, he still feels good about his performance in the boys 11-12 division.
It was a really hard competition because this is my first year swimming, my first time going out of the country to compete, and my competition was pretty hard, but I felt like I did pretty well. I'm going to work on my pacing and how to approach things.
And finally in sports, the Abaco Tennis Association held its first back-to-school jubilee in Dundas Town and Forest Heights. On day 1, a clinic was hosted for juniors interested in the sport on the island of Abaco. Now on day 2, the juniors participated in singles competition while adults took part in both singles and double competition. And that's a quick check on sports. I'm Jay Philippe. Be blessed.
Journey to a serene oasis. Relax. Rejuvenate. Renew. Welcome to Renew Day Spa. For appointments, call 352-RENU.
It's
It's back to school with Bellevue Books and Supplies. Shop now and get huge savings on composition books, 15% off textbooks, workbooks, school supplies, and all teachers' aids. Bellevue Books and Supplies, Queens Highway, making going back to school more affordable.
Hi, I'm Wes. I'd like to put some shoes on your feet.
Hi, I would like to put some shoes on your feet.
Hi, I want to put some shoes on your feet.
I want to put some shoes on your feet.
Hi, I want to put some shoes on your feet.
Let us put shoes on your feet.
Get $2 off your favorite boba drink at Shape Your Crepe until September 9th. Shape Your Crepe, number 9, West Mall Drive. Phone 688-4273.
The government of the Bahamas and the artists of Grand Bahama presents the National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Concert Series. Friday, September 2nd at the New Life Worship Center at 7:30 p.m. Performing will be the Rubber Sister, the legendary Cooling Water, the Bahamas Leading Choir, IMC, Karate, and Olsen Trodet. Don't let you miss this life-changing historical event. Admission is free. Friday, September 2nd at the New Life Worship Center at 7:30 p.m.
School is in. Here are a few safety tips brought to you by the Grand Bahama Power Company.
Parents, leave home early so there is no need to speed. Buckle your seatbelt and set a good example. Remember, we're watching you.
Ensure that your kids are in the appropriate car seat.
COVID-19 is still here. Make sure that your kids have all their school supplies along with their mask.
Parents, no speeding. Ensure that you follow the speed limit in and out of the school zones.
Use good judgment when stopping or parking.
Drop your kids off only in the designated areas.
Always respect the pedestrian crossing and the crossing guards.
And never back up in the school zone.
And when all else fails?
And if all else fails?
And when all else fails, slow down.
Have the following supplies on hand at the start of the hurricane season. A minimum 3-day supply of water, which provides 1 gallon of water per person per day. Minimum 3-day supply of non-perishable food items. Flashlights and extra batteries. A battery-powered radio to receive broadcasts that will keep you informed of the storm. A first aid kit. A 7-day supply of any prescribed medication. Don't be caught off guard this hurricane season. Be prepared.
So put me together, break me apart again. No doubt about
The King of the North is back. Power 104.5 FM.
Your #1 news team covering the North. The Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Jeffrey Cooper is our Facebook friend of the day. We are grateful for your support. Also want to send a happy birthday going out to Sandra Bullitt over in the nation's capital. Hope you enjoyed your day. And that concludes the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. On behalf of the entire news team here in the North, I'm Ramiko Knowles. Be sure to stay tuned. The Bahamas Tonight continues.
In the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, the successes and challenges of the 2021 general election. The continued highs of inflation, calling all job seekers, and Team Bahamas falters late against Argentina. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, starts now.
This portion of the news is brought to you by BTC Super Fast Internet for Less. Best rate, no debate. Sign up today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Akush Lapindo. Welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Thanks so much for joining us. As the Davis administration looks to its first year in office, the Commonwealth Observer Group tasked with overseeing the historic election has released its final report with the glossy conclusion that the September 16th poll day was credible, inclusive, fair, and transparent. But there were also regrets and a subsequent call for the country's electoral processes to be further strengthened. From as far back as one can remember, the Bahamas has been lauded for its free and fair elections, and this even in the case of considerable challenges in the face of a snap election, the aftermath of 2019's hurricane, and the ever-present coronavirus pandemic. But as the Commonwealth Observer Group cited in its 71-page report, there were shortcomings, and the very same ones of 2017. The group then has repeated its call for the establishment of an independent election management body in order to strengthen adherence to international good practice. There's also the call for legislation governing the registration of political parties and the regulation of campaign finance. Now, if we were to dive deeper into each, the group believes the statutory and regulatory framework of the Parliamentary Registration Department, or PRD, should be amended to ensure its functional independence and to strengthen its operational and administrative capacity. This way, it can fully exercise its oversight and management. Further, a substantive parliamentary commissioner should be in place before an election, and if the need to appoint an acting commissioner arises, this is formalized as soon as possible. And here's why that's even an issue. Following the announcement of the election date last August, some stakeholders raised issues that the election would be administered by a recently appointed acting parliamentary commissioner who had no experience conducting elections. However, as the report points out, Lovato Duncanson was assisted by former parliamentary commissioner Errol Bethel. Still, it stressed that lack of a permanent appointee is not ideal. The group also sees the need for robust voter education and civic education materials to ensure voters are empowered to make informed choices on elected representatives and hold them accountable. Meantime, parties and candidates subscribe to a code of conduct that condemns character assassination, cyberbullying, and slander. Now, as for the actual voting, counting, and results process, the PRD is asked to consider using translucent ballot boxes and numbered security seals. Further, tamper-proof bags rather than paper envelopes should be used to store ballot papers before counting. In a letter, COG chairperson, the Honorable Bruce Golding, the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, urged stakeholders, and Bahamians for that matter, to seriously consider the recommendations, ones they strongly feel would not only greatly enhance the democratic credentials of the Bahamas, but deepen its democracy. Well, from politics, we turn our attention tonight to news on the economy, and certainly not the type we enjoy hearing. Based on the central bank indicators point to inflation's latest monthly report, inflation is projected to remain elevated. And behind this, a rise in international oil prices, higher cost for other imported goods, and supply chain shortages due to geopolitical tensions in Eastern Europe. Consequently, domestic consumer price inflation rose to 4.4% during the 12 months to June. Behind this uptick, the average transport cost grew by 14.2%, communication 12.2%, education 2.3%, and recreation and culture by 1.3%. Further, there was a 7% increase in food and non-alcoholic beverages, 6.8% jump in restaurant and hotels, 5.4% climb in clothing and footwear, and 4.8% increase in health. This while furnishing, household equipment and maintenance went up 2.1%. We'll have more for you from the Central Bank latest report in a later newscast. Well, the central bank's prediction echoing the forewarning Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, recently shared, and that's that inflation will continue to rise in the coming months. Davis sharing as much following a recent meeting of central bank governors who predicted the situation would worsen before it improves. Bahamians then are urged to be frugal.
Even though there are signs that are so inherently contradictory when you look at all what I call the economic indices that speaks to whether inflation is going to be stabilized and or it's going to be a runaway horse as it has been. And from their prognosis, it seems that we are in for yet a rough ride for another few months. Hence, they're talking about, lowering the interest rate again or increasing the interest rates. And so those are some of the things.
The International Monetary Fund has predicted inflation here in the Bahamas could hit 7.5 this year.
We just have to continue to watch, try to do the things that we could do. A lot of it is beyond our control, and all we can do is just work with what we can control. That's some of the things we've been doing. I'll advise that they be vigilant, be frugal, and let us work together to combat the challenges that we have for inflation.
More relief for Hurricane Dorian victims as the third anniversary of that deadly storm nears. Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis says his administration is aware of the trauma and pain inflicted by the monster cyclone, and they're working to provide help.
For example, housing in Grand Bahama and in Abaco are acutely short, particularly in Abaco. And so we have started a housing program. Houses are now being built there. We are just now resolving the dome city, where we are asking persons to move from those places so we can move those domes to build more homes at that site. And in addition to that, we're providing some assistance to them to be able to take care of themselves in another place until we find alternative residences for them.
The Prime Minister says the Ministry of Health will provide counseling to Dorian survivors.
The things that troubles me is the mental health of those who went through the traumatic experience. And so we are seeking, the Minister of Health is seeking to engage more psychiatrists and psychologists and making them available to persons to call and to talk through their challenges. We need to continue to remind ourselves of those events because people are still healing. We still have to identify some of those bodies that were laid in a mass grave. We're still trying to sort that out.
Well, our Northern Service News team is in Abaco this week, hearing and sharing the stories of survivors on that island. Our Azure Grant tells us more.
Makushla, as you know, 3 years ago, Hurricane Dorian made its landfall here in Abaco, forcing many to evacuate their homes. This including Brent Lowe, a blind man who also had to save his disabled son by placing him on his shoulders while trenching through high waters to seek shelter.
That was scary. I wish I'd never ever have to go through something like that again in my life.
That was the exact sentiments of Brent Lowe, a blind father, as Hurricane Dorian ravaged through the island of Abaco. Lowe says the Category 5 storm seemed as though it would never end. Just hours before making landfall, Lowe says himself, his 27-year-old son, who was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and their caretaker were all at home. They thought everything was normal until the storm actually began.
When it started, you just could tell by the intensity it wasn't a regular storm. It was, the whole house just was vibrating. And I was in a stone building, but the floor was shuddering, the walls was just shuddering, and I could keep hearing the roof lift and drop back down.
Lowe says he realized how bad it was when the first half left and the eye came in.
It seemed like it came back with even more force than it was before. That's when I realized we should have done something when the eye passed, like leaving or. But the thing about it, they tried to leave, but the roads and everything was so flooded you couldn't get past.
As the storm continued getting worse, the blind man expresses they left in search for shelter. Fearful for his son, Lowe says he carried him on his shoulders and made his way to the neighbor's home.
When I got home, I was surprised to know how many new businesses and how many people were here. You know, I wasn't expecting it to be as built up as it was. And I mean, as of now, we're pretty much almost back to normal.
Once the storm passed and they were rescued, Lowe had to immediately leave Abaco due to him having to undergo dialysis. And 1 year later, he returned in shock of how quickly the island had developed.
I feel happy for people getting back into their homes, getting back into their normal lives, the businesses open up, new business. You know, it's just good. Makes me happy.
And for Brent Lowe, he has since moved into a new efficiency nearby family with hopes of obtaining a disability home for him and his son. However, he adds that he's just happy to be back home.
You know, home. No place like home.
Now, the good news in all of this is that Brent Lowe has since returned home and is now living nearby family. However, he has one request, and that is a disabled home so that he and his son can live together again. Reporting live here at Abaco Beach Resort in Marsh Harbor for the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Azra Quant. Back to the nation's capital.
Hi, this is Chief Meteorologist Basil Dane with a tropical weather update brought to you by BTC and CBS Bahamas. We continue to monitor two tropical waves. The first one in the far eastern Atlantic has a 40% chance of development, and this is just fresh off the African coast, and it is expected to move towards the west-northwest. But whether it develops or not, what is going to happen is going to bring some heavy rain showers to the Cape Verde Islands tomorrow. And this second wave, the much stronger one, has an 80% chance of developing, and that is moving towards the west and eventually west-northwest between 5 and 10 miles per hour. But to see exactly what is happening with these two waves, I'll just go to our satellite picture. And the first one, just off the African coast, you can see some disorganized showers and thunderstorms associated with this system. But as it moves over the waters of the Atlantic, we expect some slow intensification of this system, and it could become a short-lived tropical depression over the next few days. But then it is expected to move over some cooler waters where we expect development not to take place any longer. The second one, this one has a broad area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms associated with it. You can see that in word and weed there, meaning we do not have a closed circulation, which is needed for a tropical depression to form. However, we do anticipate that that will happen over the next few days, at the end of the week, or perhaps over the weekend. The good news is all of the computer models, they are keeping the system well to the east of the Bahamas, and hence it is no threat to us. That has been a ZNS Tropical Weather Update brought to you by BTC and CBS Bahamas.
Still to come, Pinewood, another job fair in the works, and Pinewood Park's redevelopment progresses. We'll be back after the break.
This portion of the news was brought to you by Sun Oil Limited Shell, fueling journeys that matter.
We are a leading Bahamian bank, one of the largest publicly traded companies on BISX. Our measure of strength is our growth and performance, with over $1.7 billion in assets. We remain committed to serving the interests of our shareholders, staff, clients, and communities. The confidence to lead, the performance to remain. We are Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
We need to save.
Whatever happens, be happy. On Crazy Tuesdays, enjoy 10 pieces of crispy fried chicken thighs, legs, and whole wings for only $20. Only on Tuesdays and only at KFC Nassau.
Throughout our lifetime, we must all make decisions. No matter how we choose, the right one just needs to be made. Like having J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers as your insurance partner. We've been serving the Bahamas for over 100 years. Whether you need home, motor, marine, or commercial insurance, make the right decision. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
JS Johnson Insurance. Peace of mind.
Movie production, VKR Insights, and the government of the Bahamas present the National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Concert Series, New Providence, featuring Grammy Award-winning artist CeCe Winans. Thursday, September 1st at the Bahama Convention Center, 7 p.m. Doors open at 6. Admission is free, but you're encouraged to bring a donation toward the Dorian Fund. Survivors can collect their free passes Friday, August 26th only at the box office, Western Grandstand of the National Stadium. Saturday only, the general public can collect their passes at the same location. There's a limit of 3 tickets per person.
Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Hello, Bahamas. This is CeCe Winans inviting you to join me September 1st at the Baha Mar Convention Center as we honor the memories of the 2019 Dorian hurricane victims and families. I look forward to seeing you there.
With several key industrial agreements signed within the last month, the State Minister for the Public Service is convinced the Davis administration is on the right path. She also gave an update on several outstanding contracts officials hope to wrap up real soon. Cleopatra Murphy has that story.
Government is hoping to sign a few more industrial agreements before marking a major milestone next month.
We are currently in negotiations with BPSU, Customs, Immigration, and Allied Workers Union. Those are basically coming to an end. BUT is completed. I know that the other quasi-government agencies are also in negotiations with some of their unions. Before our first anniversary, we hope that we could sign at least 4 more, and I think that it's looking good.
Already this month, 4 agreements have been signed with the Bahamas Educators and Managerial Union, the Bahamas Educators, Counselors, and Allied Workers Union, the National Insurance Board's Public Managers Union, and the Bahamas Nurses Union. With schools back in session, Glover Roll is setting her sights on adding the Bahamas Union of Teachers to that list.
We are very close to signing. The document is now with the financial secretary. We're just clearing up a few financial articles, and I would anticipate that we should hear back from him today. So in short order, we should be able to sign and bring that industrial agreement to conclusion.
The minister further says the Bahamas Public Service Union is also back to the negotiating table. This is after Airport Authority staff at the Lynden Pindling International Airport and Family Island airports throughout the country held a strike in mid-July before being ordered back to work by the Supreme Court. While the union's president was critical and suggested government was merely paying lip service to unions, the minister says the recent signings show otherwise.
We spoke to that commitment through a memorandum of understanding. And on day 1, we opened the door of communication with trade unions. My first week in office, I had meetings with all of the trade union leaders to not only cement our party's commitment to working with them, but also to expediting the signing of the industrial agreements, getting them back to the table.
Glover Roll adds that while unions often complained the former administration was not union-friendly, the current administration has been making strides to prove just the opposite. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Cleopatra Murphy.
Well, come tomorrow, Sandals Royal Bahamian Resort will host a major career fair on its Cable Beach grounds between the hours of 8 a.m. and noon. Director of Labor Robert Farquharson is urging qualified Bahamians to take advantage of the available job opportunities. Potential employees are asked to bring a copy of their passport, police record, NIB card, 2 references, and banking information.
They need about 130 people to work right now. The reason why they need people to work is as a result of the opening, they had a task force that comprised a number of non-Bahamians. They have now come to an end of the task force, and now they need Bahamians to fill these 120 positions. I spoke to the general manager of Sandals in Exuma this morning. He also advised me that he needs an additional 30 to 40 people. He said they need some additional Bahamians. They are providing housing for those Bahamians, accommodations, and so there are job opportunities available at Sandals, particularly immediately. Go prepared for interviews, go prepared to be hired on the spot.
Now, those of you with criminal records are also encouraged to apply.
We have a construction company that was written us last week and said they just were awarded 2 major contracts, and they need an additional 80 to 100 men to work in that industry, and that's a long-term project. We're talking about employment opportunities in plumbers, electricians, masons, carpenters. And I want to say a special word out to those men and women who have made had an opportunity in the past, who ran afoul of the law. This company says if you are skilled, you will be hired. A telecommunications company has advised us that they are about to start a major project in the telecommunications sector, and they're going to need 20 trainee technicians. In addition to the trainee technicians, they're going to need a number of drivers and custodial staff, health and safety officers.
In other news tonight, while flooding's been a major problem in the Pinewood constituency, the area's MP and his team are working hard to finally rectify the issue. Carla Palmer explains.
Matter of fact, from the capital grant, the lighting on this park alone is some $11,000.
Residents and visitors to the park in Pinewood Gardens should get full use of that facility as much as possible in the ensuing weeks, as very soon, demolition towards upgrade and reconstruction of that community outlet is set to begin. Member of Parliament for the area, the Honourable Miles LaRoda, says preparatory work is underway.
The pond to the north, we have cleared the cattails. I had a team led by Eric Carey and the Bahamas National Trust who would advise us on what to do in terms of clearing, so we were not just being reckless. If you go at the pond now, you can see things have settled. There are still fish there, there's still turtles there, and birds have returned.
Flooding in Pinewood has been an ongoing and serious problem. Anticipated in the millions of dollars to rectify, Minister LaRoda says it's a challenge the government is committed to meeting head-on.
The pressing issue in Pinewood is the flooding, and we are going to roll out real shortly the drainage system in Pinewood, of which this park here will be dug up, and the waters as it come off of Sapadilla and Jacaranda and Cottonwood and Casarilla and Rosewood, Sugar Apple will run in here, meaning the 600-foot well that's going to be dug, because the present wells are, I think the most is 150 feet. We plan on going 600 with this draining, and if this works, it's going to be a pilot for other areas in New Providence that floods.
The improvements, however, are not expected to stop here.
I've also got a commitment from a well-respected company to repave these basketball courts once that drainage is done. So I'm very excited about that drainage program, which will cost in the millions of dollars, and hopefully we put to rest that 40-year-old problem. As
for another park in Pinewood on Sequoia, that too, says Minister LaRoda, will be renovated with the assistance of private partnership. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Carla Palmer.
To an even more pressing issue, while murders and traffic fatalities dominate the daily crime report, domestic and sexual violence cases still cause for serious concern. In fact, the Royal Bahamas Police Force has established a specific unit to handle such delicate matters in order to give victims the attention they deserve. The officer in charge yesterday revealed the unit's latest stats, as we hear in this report from our Altavis Munnings.
It's an issue that's grabbed headlines from as far back as this past January. The investigation of a disturbing number of domestic violence and sexual abuse cases. Just think back to the heinous deaths of young mothers Heavenly Tervius and Carissa Comer that outraged the nation. Sad to say, there were just 2 of even more victims. Factor in sexual violence. Head of the police force's domestic violence unit, Assistant Police Commissioner Delarice Ferguson, listing figures up to August 23rd that she describes in one word: startling.
Rape
and these are only what is reported to the police, 51 cases. Indecent assault, 69 cases. Incest, and we know this is underreported, 10 cases. Unlawful sexual intercourse, 7 cases. Unlawful sexual intercourse with a person under 14, 39 cases. Sexual violence with a mentally ill person, 1. With a dependent, 7. Unlawful sexual intercourse with a person between the age of 14 to 16, 37. And unnatural with males is pegged at 6.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force has already recorded 6 domestic violence murders for the year, with officials predicting that if those numbers increase, they will likely surpass 2020 and 2021 figures combined.
We can tell you that of 6, 4 of them were with firearm. 1 was with stabbing, 1 was using one that you may recall. 1 is with stabbing and the other is unknown.
Police stats for the past 2 years somewhat similar. 6 domestic violence murders in 2020 compared to 8 in 2021, and 8 attempted domestic violence murders in 2020, with a decrease of 5 in 2021. The police force's ultimate goal, though, is to keep all communities safe, and if you know a victim, police advise to
give us a call, come and visit with us so that we can sit down and help them to work through the various situations that are going on.
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Altaviz Munnings.
Meantime, the United Nations Women and the CARICOM Community Secretariat hosting a one-day in-person consultation on gender equality at Super Clubs Breezes. There have been both virtual and in-person consultations on a draft of the CARICOM Regional Gender and Equality Strategy in about 20 member states. And now it's the Bahamas' turn. Ambassador to CARICOM, Her Excellency Leslie Miller-Bryce, says the bold call to action aligns with all forms of discrimination against women.
Like many of our regional sister nations, the Bahamas has consistently expressed gender equality as a national objective and has, under successive administrations, resourced departments and ministries of government to enhance the protection and empowerment of Bahamian women and girls. This morning, through the consultative endeavor, we raise our voices in chorus with the nations of CARICOM to call for a united commitment to progress on the crucial question of gender equality.
Now, heads of the Regional Gender and Development Program at CARICOM, Anne-Marie Williams, says all voices, programs, and policies of the Bahamas must be heard during this exercise.
The Bahamas, like other member states, has signed on to several international commitments, among them the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, and have chosen several priority areas out of the 12 critical actions to anchor its national gender policy. It has ratified CEDA and Belém do Pará. Despite these gains, though, the wider Caribbean region is not aware of when the Bahamas report to the CEDA committee. And more importantly, what are the achievements of the Bahamas? What indicators are being used to measure and track the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly Goal 5, which speaks to gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls?
From the police, a 51-year-old woman is missing. Authorities say Gail Meredith Smith was last seen on Friday. Smith is brown-skinned and slim-build. Any information on her whereabouts should be phoned into the Criminal Investigation Division at 502-9991 or 2 or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. Police back where they were several months ago, meantime, and that's issuing a wanted poster for political activist Omar Archer. This time, the 50-year-old Nassau Village resident is being sought for causing harm. Back in April, Archer was wanted for intentional libel. This after allegedly defaming National Security Minister, the Honorable Wayne Munro, in a voice note. He denied the charge during his arraignment. Again, anyone with information on Archer's whereabouts should call CID. Well, here again is our weekly poll question. Should a person receive automatic citizenship at birth in the Bahamas? As a reminder, once you've listened in for the question, log on to our website, and that's www.znesbahamas.com, as well as any of our social media platforms to answer. And remember, the poll's final results will be aired on Friday. And in advance, we say thank you. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Stay with us.
I used to think of the bank as my personal ATM machine. If I wanted a new car, new furniture, a weekend trip to Miami, no problem. Just max out the credit card or top up my loan. I was a big baller until I realized that 75% of my salary was going to pay back all those loans. Fidelity's personal financial coaching was the best solution. Fidelity gave me a plan with a debt consolidation loan that has a built-in savings that pays 5% interest. I now only have one low monthly payment plus money in my pocket. Give Fidelity Bank a call at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit any of Fidelity's locations or visit a website at fidelitygroup.com.
Hey, it's your honorary pump attendant here to educate you on the do's and don'ts at the service station. Here's what you don't do. Do not pull up from the pump without first checking that the nozzle has been removed from your car. Because if you pop this, that's about $600,000 to $30,000 to replace. These things ain't cheap. What you want to do is make sure that the nozzle has been removed, or just wait for the universal sign, which is the double tap.
Hello? Keisha, you something else, boy.
Who this is? Tamika?
You don't even remember my name? Wow, Dread.
Girl, I've been so busy. You still planning your trip?
Girl, and I can't wait. I right here online booking my car.
You dare planning trip? You vaccinated?
Girl, we had to. We ain't been nowhere since this pandemic started. Girl, and we got a 14-day vacation.
Best vacation ever.
Girl, are you though?
Well, I know you was gonna get the vaccine because you too like travel. When y'all get your vaccine?
Girl, long time. Because you gotta get your first dose, wait, then get your second dose at least 2 weeks before you travel. Johnny get his vaccine and he 12. Even Grammy get hers. Child, and Grammy say she ain't get no money. But I see her hiding that under the mattress.
Child, let me send my list, because I know you going shopping.
Keisha, don't play with me.
Vaccinate today, live tomorrow. A message by PAHO WHO, Canada, and USAID.
This is Personique Role from Island News Network, where we're always in the know. We're investigating Island Game, and what we want to know is how they doing what they doing. Now, the news on the street is that there are 13 Percy pension plans where you get paid $1,000 every week for a year. Now, I got my man on the ground to find out how true this is. Hey, we live.
Yeah, I was just checking on something.
How Island Game doing what they doing?
And listen, now this ain't no fake news. The Island Game have 13 different pension plans. 13! All you gotta do is put $20 on your verified Island Game account.
Can you confirm this information?
See it right there?
Incredible. There you go. There's a story here, and now you're in the know.
The country has a lot of progress to make in education, and that directly from Education Minister, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, who's speaking specifically about the results of the national examinations. Education officials last week revealed that just 12.9%, or 633 of 4,906 candidates who sat this year's BGCSE exams passed with a C or above in 5 or more subjects. Still, education officials say more than 83% of grades ranged from an A to E, marking a minor increase overall. Hannah Martin insists, though, that not everyone will excel at academics.
Every person in this country has a vested interest in education. And if you have expectations and you feel as if that these results do not meet those expectations, those are legitimate observations. For myself, my observation of the results is that we have a long way to go. That is what I say. We have a long way to go. But I would say, however, that we must ensure that when we measure attainment, that we do not get stuck on the BGCSE or even the BJC exam. They're important, and where students can attain, they will, but we have a lot of children that are going to excel in other areas like technical and vocational. They will excel in the arts. We want to ensure that our children have literacy and numeracy and that they meet the minimum requirement to graduate from high school.
The government, meantime, taking steps to tackle teacher shortages within the public school system with a renewed focus on recruitment efforts. The move's expected to encourage educators to remain in the classroom, as Fern Carey reports.
The Ministry of Education adopting a more strategic approach to recruiting teachers in order to mitigate ongoing teacher shortages in the public school system. The move comes as countries globally are facing challenges with teacher retention and recruitment as more and more teachers choose to walk away from the profession. Here at home, Minister of Education, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, says there are some 3,000 teachers in the system. However, deficits still exist in specialized and other subject areas.
Those areas would be mathematics, music, physical education, special education, guidance counseling, physics, chemistry, biology, any of those subjects. The other subjects also, they're all important.
The government has also moved aggressively to shore up the profession by implementing a number of measures that will benefit educators while encouraging more young people to choose that career path.
The government just recently increased salaries and benefits and allowances for teachers. And I think that's the first time in a very long time. So as far as money is a lure, there's been some increase in that area.
Efforts are also underway to boost teacher morale across all levels.
We did a study of the issues that affect teacher morale, and that's now being analyzed so that we can understand the issues that impact teachers and their desire to want to be in the profession. So we're working on that now.
Meanwhile, the Education Minister says teachers are ready for the new school year. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Fern Carey.
We head to the break. We'd like to thank all our viewers watching us live on our social media platforms. And just in case you missed the news, be sure to head there to catch up. Stay with us. There's more after the break.
Join up for life insurance. Secure the ones that you love. Join up with Family Guardian. We offer full protection. Join the family. Join the family. Family Guardian. Protect the ones you love. A brand that you can trust. Family Guardian. Good to grow. Keeping you in the know. Keeping you in the know. God, it's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow. It's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow.
Cat Islanders partied the night away as they celebrated the 66th Cat Island Regatta. The 4-day event was filled with sailing, food, drinks, and entertainment.
Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are eager and ready to reinforce the spirit of One Bahamas as we receive our family and friends from near and far to our shores. With the theme, Back to our roots. We send the message to all, making everyone who attend this year's 66th Regatta Festival a part of the common thread, proud to be Bahamian.
Celebrating the second oldest regatta, Minister of Agriculture, Marine Resources and Family Island Affairs Clay Sweeting applauded Cat Islanders for the huge turnout and all the hard work they put into making the event a hit.
Cat Island, it is little wonder. It is while your rooms are booked, your cars are rented, and your restaurants are filled. You have an unassuming beauty that becomes even more enchanting every time I visit. And with these special events, the island of Cat Island becomes even more special to reunite with friends, family, and I am so pleased after a 2-year hiatus that you are able to do just that.
Prime Minister Philip Davis encouraged sailors to spread their knowledge to the younger generation as his government moves to make sailing the national sport.
And in the summertime is when we have our regattas out the length and breadth of our country. And this is the time when we expose our signature sporting and cultural event we call our regatta, sloop sailing. It is now going to become, sailing will become our national sport, and sloop sailing, of course, is sailing. And I invite each and every one of you to be part and continue to participate in events such as this.
Keeping you in the know with Good to Grow, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
Hello, summer. Escape into summer when you fuel up with Shell. Every time you purchase $20 gas, you're entered to win your share of over $50,000 in cash prizes and fantastic trips, including a staycation at Grand Island Exuma, a shopping spree in Miami, and a 4-day trip to Las Vegas to see John Legend live. To enter, fuel up at Shell with $20. Go to winwithshellbahamas.com and let the fun begin. Say hello, summer with Shell today. Conditions apply. Hello, summer.
Central Andros High locked, loaded, and ready for the new school year. But although students there are performing exceptionally well in national examinations, officials say there's still a lot more work to be done. LaDon Davis tells us more.
185 students at the Central Andros High School would undergo face-to-face instruction for the very first time since the COVID-19 pandemic. Principal Nakisha Curtis says the school has a full complement of teachers and all of the plant and maintenance issues of the past have already been addressed. However, she says there are still some additional concerns.
We need a lunch pavilion for our students, as well as the yard to be addressed. When it rains, it floods, and we have like a dent at the entrance of the school.
But despite these issues, coupled with the face-to-face and virtual challenges, Curtis says the students performed extremely well in the national examinations.
We had 100% passes with C and above in a number of areas, including carpentry, Spanish, food and nutrition, BGCSE, social studies, geography. I feel proud, my staff, and it's not only my teachers, my custodial staff is on board with our instructional process as well, along with the students and the parents who we have, that's partnership with us.
Social studies, history, and civics teacher Ricardo Mackey says while the students are improving in the subject area, there is still a lot more that needs to be done to enhance the curriculum.
The curriculum is being adjusted as far as I know, so there should be some new tweaks, some new things. So we're looking forward to see what changes will be made. They're looking to focus more on Bahamian and African history, Caribbean history, and so we're excited to see whatever changes will be made. I know there's some work to be done on that. So we'll focus more on Caribbean, Bahamian, and West Indian history, as opposed to international American history.
But in the end, it's quite clear that the students, teachers, and faculty at the Central Andros High School are ready to get to work in the hopes of exceeding their academic expectations this new school year. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm LaDon Davis.
Well, it's time now for a check on Family Island weather with Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean. Good evening, Basil.
Good evening, Makisha. We're under partly cloudy skies. Temperature at 88 degrees. The relative humidity at 71%. We have winds out of the south at 10 miles per hour. The barometric pressure 1,015.7 millibars. That's 29.99 inches, and the pressure is rising. Temperatures around the outlets this evening, they are brought to you by Family Guardian Insurance Company. We're protecting you. 87 degrees in Freeport, Grand Bahama, Grand Turtle Key, and Marsh Harbor, Abaco. The Berry Islands, 88 degrees, 87 in Alistan, Bimini. Harbor Island, 86, also Roxanne, Eleuthera, Black Point, Exuma, Kemp Space, South Andros, and Fresh Creek in Central Andros, all at 86 degrees. 85s in Artistan, Cadalum, San Salvador, and Rum Key, Georgetown, Exuma, 84 degrees. 83 in Rygat Island, Clarence, Sandal Island, and Crooked Island. Betsy Bay, Megwana, 87, Acklands, Matutani, Nagua, and the Turks and Caicos Islands, all at 87 degrees. And your boating forecast tonight is brought to you by Builders Mall, home of FYP, the Tile King, and the Paint Center. For all areas tonight, right through Thursday, it's going to be southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and the wave height is 2 to 4 feet. High tide that takes place at 10:44 tonight, a second high tide at 11:12 tomorrow morning. That's going to do it for your boating forecast. It's time now for your international temperatures, and they are brought to you by Royal Star Assurance. That's going to do it for your international temperatures, brought to you by Royal Star Assurance. Stay tuned, your extended weather forecast is still ahead.
As a CEO, it really delights me, quite frankly, to have such young, nimble, agile thinkers. Their innovation and creativity is really at the forefront when they show up for work and they're fully committed. Nothing, in my mind, beats the benefit of experience. The benefit of them on our team is tremendous. To really be thinking about fiber to the home is like the next frontier of technology. Rollout across the entire new province really brings a lot of excitement and energy to our teams. And I'm delighted to be thinking about the future of the Bahamas with fiber to the home everywhere.
At the Nature Conservancy, we believe in working with fishermen and communities in order to improve the sustainability of Queen Conch in the Bahamas.
The crux of the issue here is that there are not enough mature conch staying in the water to reproduce and produce enough offspring to sustain the fishery into the future. So the project is to visit a number of fishermen in different parts of the Bahamas and showed them how to do the research on the Queen Conch and determine what may be the best proxy indicator of maturity by measuring multiple different parameters.
These engagements give fishermen and communities an opportunity to see how scientific research is conducted and be a part of that process. By the end, fishermen are asking for more information and how they can further be involved in research.
Knowledge is power. You know, a lot of people want power, but they don't want to get the knowledge. I think what you're all doing is real helpful for us to give us knowledge. I learned something from this meeting today.
We hope that by conducting these engagements, the Bahamas can be an example of how communities, researchers, and government can come together to work towards sustainable fisheries, not only here in the Bahamas, but around the world.
We elevate, elevate, we elevate, elevate, we elevate, elevate, we elevate, elevate.
We're spending some time looking back at the horrific events of Hurricane Dorian from nearly 3 years ago. None of us will ever soon forget that brutal Category 5 storm and the havoc that it wreaked on so many lives. But as horrific an experience as this was, the stories of bravery, compassion, and giving continue to inspire us even today.
Dorian was a time where we recognized that everything that we did as BTC was doing it from a people-centered approach. That, you know, when you talk about being down on the ground, it was the responsibility of the entire business, including, you know, our parent company, to really come and lend support, not only to our employees, but also to all of those who would have been inflicted by that storm, you know, both in Grand Bahama and Abaco. And I remember our first order of business was to make certain that every single employee that we had in this business was found, was safe, and that we were able to provide the assistance to take our employees and their families out and to give them shelter and comfort. I remember personally, you know, standing out by the mail boats as they were coming in, and what, I guess in hindsight, what I really think about is I had no clue what they had just seen and witnessed. Just to see the power of what a cell phone would be for them, with minutes to be able to call their family members. It wasn't what you do because you're a good corporate citizen. It's what you do because you're good human beings.
We are continuously inspired by knowing that even in the worst of times, the best of us can be shown. These are still the moments that move us. I'm Corval Pyfrom. Be well, and be back here next, BTC Connection.
Welcome to the Global Learning Exchange. We're partnering with BIBT to bring opportunities for higher education to the Bahamas. Earn your degree from a university in the U.S. right here at home. Visit us online to learn more.
This is ZNS Total Sports.
Welcome to sports, everybody. Coming off a 5-point loss at home last week to Venezuela, Team Bahamas on the road last night against Argentina in the FIBA Americas World Cup qualifiers. Early on, the visitors erased a 12-point deficit to quiet the home fans and led 44-43 at the half. In the third quarter, though, Team Bahamas came out of the locker room cold, and that combined with NBA star Buddy Hield being in foul trouble allowed the home side to take a 68-59 lead to the fourth. With about 5 minutes left in the game, Buddy would foul out, and Team Bahamas was never able to rebound, going down 95-77. Kai Jones led the 2-4-2 in the loss with 16 points. Calvin Clark added 12, while Michael Thompson and Buddy Hield followed with 11 and 10, respectively. With the loss, the Bahamas finds themselves on the brink of elimination, having to win 3 of their next 4 games to move on. The qualifiers now take a break and resume in November. The Bahamas has home games against Panama on the 10th and Argentina on the 13th. The hosts will be without at least 3 players from this window. Kai and Buddy are due to start the NBA season, while Clark has school commitments. Head coach Chris DeMarco will also be absent as he returns to the Golden State Warriors. The Bahamas has 2 new pro bodybuilders following the Miami IFBB Grand Prix last weekend. Among them, David Johnson, who won the men's physique Class C.
It was flabbergasting. I mean, I could not believe that I was standing on a stage, an international stage, and the judges announced that David Johnson was the winner. But I mean, I just got to think, thank you, Lord. Just thank you, because, I mean, so much work, so much pain, so much blood, sweat, and tears went into getting there. My competitors, they were so stacked. I mean, everybody, their package they brought, it was exceptional. But I still, believed in myself. I believed in what I did and the training and everything, what the Federation told me and what I was taught. I watched for years, months, shows, people competing, and I was always influenced by them. I always say, you know what it is to be a professional at something that you love? And I always said, you know what, one day I will be that. I will be that. So for me, it's living a dream.
The University of the Bahamas cross-country team competed over the weekend at the St. Thomas University Invitational in Miami Gardens. UB finished 4th in the team standings. Levine Joseph, the top individual performer, crossing the line 9th in 18 minutes, 4.5 seconds.
I really like the last lap per se, because although I was tired, I still went on and pushed towards whoever was in the front of me and did the best I could have. I have experience in the 5,000 meter race, and I definitely used that to my advantage today. First of all, the whole plan was to come in the top 10, and really what went on in the race, I took it easy the first lap, make the first lap as comfortable as possible, and then push it towards the second lap. I'm keeping whoever is in the front of me in striking distance, in order for me to kick and finish in the air.
Head coach Edna Roll says he was impressed with the team's performance as it was the first event since the pandemic.
Didn't know what to expect. Small school, great team. So excited to see what we do going forward. We just got to get back, hit the miles, get the team to be in sync so we could get a better overall position.
The UB men's soccer team also in action over the weekend with a scrimmage against defending champions Dynamos FC as both sides gear up for the upcoming BFA season. After missing out on a hat trick in the Mingos' last match, new addition Ronaldo Green completed the feat this time around. Rayshawn Roll also scored 2 goals for the Mingos in a match where the lead changed 4 times before UB eventually pulled it out 5-4.
A very, very difficult opponent, but it was a good test for us. We went down a few times, had to try to claw ourselves back up, so it showed a lot of resilience for the players. We did improve from the last game, what we wanted to do in the game, technically, tactically. And sometimes, I think, with games like that, you get away from how you want to play and kind of go back to the basics. And it showed that they do have a lot of grit and a lot of heart to try to claw themselves back a few times to win the game.
Let's look at sports to check on weather up next.
This is ZNS Total Sports.
When you want to save money on your tile supplies, who you gonna call? The Tile King. When you tile your house and you want to look good, who you gonna call? The Tile King.
Visit the new Tile King showroom, which is internationally recognized as the finest tile showroom in the Caribbean, located in the Builders Mall on Wolf Road.
The Tile King. Who you gonna call? The Tile King.
Tiles on everything.
Being the CFO at this young age, it really is very fulfilling to me, and it really shows that the hard work, the hours that I put in my career, they really paid off. Having such young persons in such a key role really shows that the board of directors have a lot of trust in the leadership of the young people. Being committed to excellence means that you put all of your effort into whatever it is you're doing to get the best benefit out of that task or anything you're doing in life.
The government of the Bahamas presents The Courage to Rebuild, a National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Week, Friday, August 26th through Saturday, September 4th. On Friday in Abaco, a weather symposium featuring local and international weather experts. On Tuesday, August 30th, a focus on Hurricane Dorian and mental health. On Wednesday, August 31st, official updates on government repairs and the airing of the documentary, The Courage to Rebuild. Thursday, September 1st, remembering the victims. You're encouraged to wear your Hurricane Dorian memorial pins for a small donation to go toward Hurricane Dorian reconstruction. Also on Thursday, a memorial service at the Friendship Tabernacle Church in Abaco and a wreath-laying ceremony along the SC Boodle Highway. Flags will fly at half-mast, a concert featuring international recording artist CeCe Winans. Friday, September 2nd, the Grand Bahama Memorial Concert at the New Life Worship Center featuring Grand Bahama's leading gospel artists. Saturday, September 3rd, the Abaco Memorial Concert at the Friendship Tabernacle featuring some of the country's leading gospel artists and those from Abaco. Sunday, September 4th, a wreath-laying ceremony in East Grand Bahama and a memorial service at Jubilee Cathedral. The National Hurricane Dorian Memorial Week, taking courage to rebuild.
After the storm, all this was impossible. We just was alone. Most of it was water. I mean, talking about 5 foot of water, pools and stuff everywhere. It's literally impossible.
In my house, my wife and my grandson and I was up in the ceiling roof. We spent a day and a half up there. The water was 8 feet 2 inches of water. You're looking down the ocean like.
Have you ever experienced a hurricane like this before?
No, never in my life.
The roof is gonna go, the wind is gonna carry it, and then with no roof, we're just exposed. A wave could just come and wash us away. You know, so your mind goes very far. And I had made my peace. I said, I think this is going to be how we go.
My name is Preston William Cooper, Sr.
Joseph Thomas.
I am Keldra Pinder, and I had the courage to rebuild.
Time now for weather.
In our final look at whether that mid to upper level trough will continue to support pockets of showers and even isolated thunderstorms across the islands through the next several days. Our forecast for tonight calls for partly cloudy with a late night shower or two. Even an isolated thunderstorm is possible later on tonight. Low temperature should get down to about 79 degrees, and tomorrow we're looking at partly sunny with 1 or 2 evening showers and isolated thunderstorms still in the mix. High temperature tomorrow around 86 degrees. And your extended weather forecast over the next 7 days, those showers will be with us into Thursday. Things get a little better as we head into the weekend, and then the showers return on Sunday again, which will carry over into the early part of next week. Temperature-wise, though, we're going to keep you upper 80s for the greater part, upper 70s during the nighttime. Mikishla.
Well, thanks, Basil. That does it for the Bahamas tonight. Thank you for continuing to make ZNS your first choice for news and information. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better than ZNS. From all of us here at ZNS, thank you for watching and good night.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
Coral. It forms a reef that protects us. And there's so many other benefits we get from coral.